My favorite was Abraham Lincoln. He served from 1861 to 1865. In 1903, Theodore Roosevelt wrote this of Abraham Lincoln: "If there ever lived a president who, during his term of service, needed all the consolation and the strength that he could draw from the unseen power above him, it was President Lincoln." Sad, patient, mighty Lincoln, who worked and suffered for the people. If ever there was a man who practically applied what was taught in our churches, it was Abraham Lincoln. He was in many ways all things to all people. To the slave, he was the Messiah. To the press, he was the rail splitter. To the North, he was the preserver of the Union, and to the South, that knew that the Civil War was about to end, he was a compassionate victor. To the Christian, he could well have been champion of the faith, except for one thing: Abraham Lincoln never joined a church. Look at the record. Lincoln never joined a Christian congregation. Consequently, a few scholars are bold enough to ask, was Abraham Lincoln a Christian? The poet Goethe may have had someone like Lincoln in mind when he wrote, "God contrives to send during critical moments in history great genius to solve our problems." Lincoln showed a personal attachment to the Presbyterian Church. He rented a pew, a custom of that era, and we're beginning that again. He attended Washington, New York's Avenue Presbyterian Church, located on the right side of the church, 8 rows from the pulpit. He and his family regularly worshiped there on Sunday mornings. One Sunday morning, when Confederate forces drew close to the city and the fighting was heavy, Dr. Gurley, the pastor of that church, declared from his pulpit that the next Sunday would be the last in which the church would be used for worship, in order that the Secretary of War, Stanton, could use the church as a hospital for wounded soldiers. President Lincoln, who was attending worship that day, rose to his feet and said, "Dr. Gurley, we are too much in need of this church these days. We cannot let it be closed. I countermand the order." A fact well documented in the records of the New York Avenue Presbyterian Church is that before an important battle or at the news of some crisis, whether day or night, the president sent his carriage to bring Pastor Gurley to the White House. There, the two of them spent hours praying for the Lord's guidance. Lincoln later commented, "I have been driven many times to my knees in prayer by the overwhelming conviction that I had nowhere else to go. My wisdom and all about me seemed insufficient for the day." Lincoln's creed, like other dimensions of his life, was simple and practical. It was based upon the teachings of the Bible, coupled with our obligation to seek in all matters the help of God. Abraham Lincoln, our 16th president.